Hi neighbors, I'm going to try to do something. Neighbors, class, friends, everyone. This is a tortoise. This is a California desert tortoise. They're native obviously to California and they live obviously in the desert. And Abraham's really old. I didn't name him Abraham. I got him from a neighbor about 30 years ago. And I don't think he's really grown since I've gotten him. Kind of strange, but he's a pretty cool guy. And this is a turtle. This is a slider. I want to say it's a painted slider, but this one doesn't have any paint. And of course I didn't look up what the actual name is, but it's a Chinese tortoise. Turtle, sorry, it's a turtle. That's the whole point of the video. This is a turtle and this is a tortoise. How do we tell the difference? Well, there's a couple of identifying features. And unfortunately, this isn't the best example, but turtles are water animals. They don't have to live in the water completely, but they do swim. Tortoises do not swim. They actually sink. They could soak in a bucket or a pool of water, but this particular tortoise doesn't have access to much water, being that he's from the desert. Most of his water intake comes from the cactus or the other green foliage that he would come across in the wild to eat, which there's not a lot of green in the desert. So most of his diet consists of dry, dead grass. This one right here was brought to me the other night. It was found in the street. I'm actually going to take him to a local pond and let him go. I don't think he's really a fan of living at my house. He almost seems like he's shaking his head yes. Do you see that? Yes, I'm going to let you go, or yes, you're a fan of being at my house with Abraham. So if you take a look at this guy's shell, it's actually painted quite nicely. It's a little flatter on top. It's not as domed as the tortoise. That's one of the identifying factors. Another one is their feet, which I'd love to show you, but this guy's pretty tucked in. I don't think he was a pet. He's not native. Technically, I'm not supposed to put him in the pond, but I think that's where he came from because he was found by the lake across the street. So I'm gonna put him back over there, but because he's not native, he's not supposed to go there. But seeing as that's where he came from, I'm gonna put him back. If you take a look at this guy's feet, I tell the kids that if you want to touch an elephant and don't have the opportunity, this feels very similar. I've touched an elephant. And that's why I can tell you it feels similar, because of the dry, scaly feel. A neat thing about these guys is you kind of want to knock and see if anybody's home, but you wouldn't do that because it's rude. Just like you wouldn't walk up to somebody and knock them in the head because you can feel it. Just because it's hard doesn't mean they can't feel it. He could absolutely feel this. My bigger tortoise will move his body back and forth, kind of like a dog. Their shells are made out of the same thing that our fingernails are made out of, keratin. He can absolutely feel this. So just like you can feel somebody touching your hard head, he can feel somebody touching this hard shell. A fallacy or a myth is you can tell how old they are by counting their rings like a tree. He's not a tree. These are just growth plates, and they could be quite inconsistent, so you can't tell his age that way. Nor can you tell his age by anything on his shell that I know of. Their vertebrae is actually built into the shell, so they don't crawl out of the shell like some people think and get a new one. It's actually a part of his body. Kind of like our head is a part of our body. Sometimes it gets bigger as we grow, right? Same thing here. This one's painted pretty nicely. They're called painted turtles. And take a look at this. I like to keep an eye on my finger because this one is not my best friend. If you can see, which I doubt you can figure it out, he's got webbed feet. What do you guys think he would use that for? Why would you be wearing flippers? It's for the water. That's another way you can tell if it's a tortoise or a turtle. Tortoises do not have webbed feet. These things on the front, they're called diggers. Well, not really, but that's what they do with them. They dig. These guys dig too, actually. That's what those long nails are for. They both hibernate. And this one most likely hibernated and woke up and was maybe a little bit disoriented and went on to Ramona Avenue. This guy just woke up a few weeks ago. He's been sleeping since October. So about half the year. Desert tortoises, California desert tortoises, have a lifespan of 60 to 80 years, kind of like a person. I do not know how long turtles live, or this breed. I would assume this one is not young, because he's a pretty good size. I'd like to show you a close-up of his shell. Can you see that? Look at that. It's pretty neat, huh? Let me see if he has anything to say to us. So, turtles can come outside of the water. They do not live primarily inside of the water, but they are aquatic water animals. Tortoises are not. What do they eat? This guy actually eats protein he'll eat small little fish if you can catch him. Moss, greenery in the water. I bet he'd probably eat some lettuce. Abraham likes to eat grass, fruit, hibiscus flowers. Not a big protein eater. And I'm pretty attached to this guy, but I've had him, well, I think I've had him more than half of my life, so yeah, I'd be attached. He's a pretty cool guy. Hi, take a look. Oh, he is a red-eared slider. Well, I guess we needed him to stick his head out to see that. I knew he was a slider because he had all the identifying characteristics, but he's never stuck his head out. But he saw Abraham and stuck his head out. Well, maybe they'll be friends. I wish he'd stick his feet out, and then I can show you his webbed feet. He may do that if we hang out long enough. Take a look. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. Look at this. Abraham looks like he's looking for something to drink. He's smelling. Abraham's not usually on the table, so. Let's see, what else do we have to learn about turtles and tortoises? Their feet are obviously different, their environment is different, and the shell shape is different. Remember, tortoises have more of a higher dome, and turtles are a little more streamlined so they can glide through the water. Tortoises do not utilize the water unless they're just soaking, which is a rarity. They would actually sink if you put them in a pool. A turtle will not sink, but they will glide. They are both reptiles, which means they're cold-blooded, and they utilize the sun to get going, kind of like me. They need the sun to be active. They shut down when it's cold. Let's see if I can show you his, see that? His neck? Isn't it pretty? That's why they call him a red-eared slider, and they call him a Chinese painted turtle, I think. If I'm wrong, correct me, but if memory serves me right, that's another name for them. So take a look at his nose. Can you see his nose? You see that? Oh, look at that. He's coming to say hi. I don't know if it's a male or a female. I don't know how to tell. But here, take a look. The tortoises, I'll tell you how to know if this is a male or a female. So the top is a shell, and the bottom, his stomach, is called the plastron. For the males, it's concave, and that kind of sounds like a big word, right? So a female would be flat. So here's flat, and here's concave, right? You see that? Like cupped. I'm gonna try to flip him. I don't know if I can do it with one hand, and I don't want to hurt him. Come here, Abe. Oh, he doesn't like that. See the bottom of his shell, how it's not flat? It's shadowed, but it's not flat, trust me. Down at the bottom, it's kind of cupped. That's a good word. Cupped, concave. Males have a concaved plastron, females are flat. So that's how you tell the difference between a male and a female. And with that, we'll sign off. We're at 11 minutes and 30 seconds. How did I talk so long? Say see you later. See you in the pond. Bye, guys.